Hello there, and welcome back to my desk. And today we are taking a look at something that is equally weird and equally fascinating. Today we are taking a look at this 3DS. But it's not just any 3DS. This is the starter edition 3DS that was released in Hong Kong and Taiwan. And for those of you who saw my core video about the history of Nintendo in Hong Kong, you might recognize this. This is one of the systems I mentioned during the weird wacky part of the 3DS's sale history in Hong Kong. And for those who didn't actually watch the video, I will give a very quick summary. Even though the entire thing is super wacky, I recommend you watch that video if you haven't already. But basically, so imagine. In Hong Kong, the 3DS has its own region. So, Japanese, American, European, Australian, Korean. And there's one Chinese region that is specifically for Hong Kong and Taiwan. And I even got some brochures from Nintendo of Hong Kong here just to show you what the game releases there look like. So these are physical releases in Chinese. So Nintendo of Hong Kong localized a bunch of 3DS games in Chinese, most of the popular ones, or most of the Mario games really. But as you can see, each of these have a CT logo on the bottom right corner. This means that they are official Chinese releases, and because the 3DS is region locked, then these are only playable on Chinese consoles. And then even if they released games that didn't actually have a Chinese localization, like Yoshi's New Island, it even has the Japanese title. It say it's in Japanese, but it still got the logo. This is a physical release that will only work on a Chinese region console. And actually, I do not have a Chinese region console. I got an American 3DS because most people usually just play imports from Japan and America because there weren't a lot of releases in Chinese, because these are definitely not the only 3DS releases, major 3DS releases that were out by 2013, 2014. So they just kind of stopped supporting the 3DS for a while, then stopped doing Chinese localizations. And then suddenly they came out with this. They just said screw it, let's just officially import a Japanese console, but make a stripped down version of it that removes all of the online features, because I have no idea. But this is what I can put a picture on screen right now of what the box looked like. But this is one of the very weird 3DS versions that they did release. It doesn't play any Chinese region encoded games. It only plays Japanese ones. All the languages, the UI, all of that is in Japanese, except the packaging, of course. And yeah, and then they just made this JP label, and it's not even CT, it's just JP, because it means that it's a Japanese product officially endorsed by Nintendo of Hong Kong, even though barely anyone here knows Japanese. And then on the back it advertises Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, which was never localized in Chinese. It is specifically for Japanese consoles, but it comes at a Chinese box with Chinese physical manuals inside. It was weird. And so there was this very wacky 3DS release. Basically, the only good thing about this was the price. So as far as I know, when this one came out in, I suppose around 2014, 2015, I think it was 2015, it retailed for basically around 70 to 75, 60 or 70 US dollars. I guess depending on the store, because Hong Kong prices are weird. But it's generally cheaper than a normal 3DS, which I guess is an incentive if you barely care about online. But a lot of stuff is restricted on this console, and we'll get to that in a bit. So you can tell it's a Chinese region console because there is this little thing on the bottom right there. It just kind of says maintain adequate lighting, keep a proper distance away from the screen, please rest occasionally, read the manual and stuff. And then there's CHTJ on the bottom right here, but the rest of this print is still in Japanese, so it's basically still Japanese console. They just printed some additional stuff on there. And aside from that, it's basically the same as a regular 3DS. So let's go ahead and turn it on. All right. I should turn back the 3D down, but yeah, it is a Japanese 3DS, and there is nothing special to say here. It's a Japanese 3DS, except if you try to use any feature, actually you can see it's connected to my home Wi-Fi right now, so the internet settings still work. You can open internet settings and connect it to online, because this still does support system updates. But if you go into something like the eShop, it will tell you this is not available to this Nintendo 3DS. And a lot of things are restricted. Just on the home menu, there is no Street Pass Me Plaza. You cannot go into the Street Pass Me Plaza. Like, even though this does support Street Pass if you have like a compatible game, the Me Plaza itself off limits. Nintendo Zone, it was discontinued, but you know, off limits. Want to browse the internet? Nope, off limits. Want to, add a 3DS friend? Nope, off limits. And then Miiverse, it's also shut down, but also off limits. So a lot of like restricted online features. Basically, the only it doesn't have spot pads or anything. Basically, the only online feature that is left is system updates, and you can't even like do a system transfer, and you can't even update games. So if you bought a Japanese copy of Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and you want to update it, and then you can't because just does not support game updates. And the only game I have with me right now that supports it is this. This is a Chinese copy of 3D Land. I showed this on the history of Nintendo Hong Kong video as well. But this is a re-release in 2017. You can tell because it's got the hideous red red logo on the spine there. But it says it supports traditional Chinese, but it's only for Japanese consoles. You can see on the back there, if the camera can autofocus on there, only used for Japanese language version consoles. So this does not work if you have like one of those like Chinese consoles labeled CT, and it's in Chinese, but it will only work on a Japanese console like this one. But basically any Japanese console, if you like imported a Japanese system from Japan, you would still be able to play this. It's in Chinese and all that. The language is still supported. But yeah, going in here, there's Chinese subtitle, and it's Super Mario 3D Land, but in Chinese. But yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't need to show myself playing 3D Land. You guys know what 3D Land is. It's a cool game. People give it too much flack because 3D World came out, but still a fun game. Still play it. I can't believe this game is 10 years old. Anyway, but yeah, here we are in the system settings. As you can see, I recently updated to the latest version. It still takes system updates. It came at like version 11.9 when I got it. So it did the latest update. It went up to 11.15. And it's basically the same. If I go to the Nintendo Network ID settings, it still gives me that message. This is not available on the 3DS. And what's kind of funny is if you go into like the internet connection settings and you try to like accept the license agreement for Spot Pass, this network services agreement is not applicable to the 3DS. So no network services, and a lot of stuff is basically just off limits. I am curious to know if like DS communication is off limits, but I do have to maybe test that a bit. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine like 3DS connection, like DS connection might work, but I don't want to like go through the hassle of doing it right now because right now, of course, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is dead. You gotta route it through like an external service, and then you have to use a specific like old hotspot without the advanced security, and it's generally a bit of a mess. But the main thing I am really interested in is to basically, do some 3DS hacking on this. See if if homebrew and like custom firmware can actually bypass the online restrictions that are placed on this firmware. I don't even know if this is like a unique firmware. It is kind of just like the same as the Japanese firmware, except features are off limits. It is kind of funny to have the messages in English, but yeah, basically I just wanted to do this. I will maybe see you guys back here after I have like put some 3DS hacks on here. See if I can actually launch any of the online features on there while it is hacked. So I will catch you guys in a bit. I still got notification. These are from this. This is from the system itself. I don't think this can get spot. Actually, I do think that this might still be able to get like Spot Pass notifications from Nintendo. Basically, like general like. I have no idea. Maybe it doesn't work. Street Pass still works. I have no idea about Spot Pass notifications because a lot of that stuff just doesn't work on here. But that is for the gimped 3DS. I will probably see you guys back here when I hack this thing. So jump cut. And we're back. That wasn't so hard, was it? But yeah, right now, the 3DS is successfully hacked. And, I've hacked so much 3DSs in my life, so it doesn't really matter that much to me at this point. But right now, currently, even with custom firmware installed, the eShop is still not available. But let's see if that will change once we go into FBI. So I can directly launch titles from the titles menu here, and I'm just very curious because I'm as blind about this as you guys are, but I am just curious if I could just launch the eShop from here. And it wants me to agree to the license agreement, which what happens if I like? Yeah, okay. Huh. Yeah, it wants me to agree to the license agreement, which I can't because it doesn't exist. I believe there is some like homebrew out there that will set that value for you, but let me just try maybe something like Straight Past Me Plaza, because that is also something that is like off limits. Or maybe even just the internet browser. I'm just curious to see if any of these work. Let's try the internet browser, see what happens. Ow! Oops, let's try it again. Maybe the Street Past Me Plaza works? Hopefully? There it is! Oh, I haven't made a me yet. I should probably go do that. Alright, we're back. This time it should be able to work. I can enable Street Pass on this, even though that would barely do anything. But let me go ahead and put my me in here. Yeah, you can just bypass it, and you know, I'll just keep putting in LOL. Yeah, it's kind of funny. You can just bypass it all. What did I do? Oh, that's the update. I can't do that because I can't. Yeah, I can't update the app yet because no updates. Yeah, there we go. I am in the Street Past Me Plaza. I think the funny thing is if I just quit the app and then try to go back in there, it will block me from going back in. So that's kind of funny. Well, let's try some other things. All right, got this homebrew app that basically sets the license agreement for me, and let's go ahead and try the eShop again, see if we can get in. Ayo, nice, there we go. I don't know what happens if I try to. I mean, probably like the server will probably just see me as another regular like Japanese 3DS without any restrictions. I am just curious to see what happens. Can I actually log into this eShop? There we go. Yeah, we are in. We are officially in. And yeah, we can just basically like here it is, Japanese eShop. I don't know if you guys ever like seen the Japanese eShop, but I love how it still has like the old music. It brings back lots of memories. I'm pretty sure if I like reload it, it'll probably like reload some new music. So enjoy it while it lasts. But I just want to see if I can like download some like free software just to see if I can actually download new games on here. Actually, if I recall correctly, free software requires like a Nintendo Network ID. So I don't know if I can set that up because yep, it will tell me to do that. But will it actually send me to that app is the question. Uh-oh. Oh. Are we going to set up an entire like other Nintendo Network ID just to see if this works? Oh boy! All right, let's get this over with. Huh? It worked. All right. Let's see how this goes. All right, we in here. This is so weird. We're gonna download Flipnote Studio 3D, maybe a bunch of other demos, see how things go, because I barely have any Japanese games. Alright, we do got Flipnote Studio 3D installed, and it should be no problem opening it, but just to check if I like, close the eShop and then open it again. Huh! It let me in! Okay, I did not expect that. Did we just like kind of like bypass it by just setting the EULA? I have no idea. Oh, so that's pretty interesting. So I get okay. I can launch the internet browser now. So I guess like whatever like after I just like forced the license agreement to be set to like accept it, I guess it just kind of like bypassed the entire like no online restriction already. So I can just basically use it as any other 3D Japanese 3DS. And just go to google.com if I want it. And that is Google. It's in Japanese. That is very funny. I did not expect that. So I guess I can also like make my own friend code now if I go to the friends list. Yeah, it loads up. Oh, that is okay. That is that is very easily defeatable like production. I know of like these hacks were that easy to do back when this like released. But also there's my friend code, so there's the friend code of the system. But yeah, that is I wonder what will happen if we just like set the license agreement back to like not accepted. See what happens. Unset it, and then go to the internet browser, and now it's blocked. All right, that's a very funny trick, but this is going to like Footnote Studio. It will still let us go in because we downloaded it and all, and yeah. From this point on, it basically just like acts like any other like regular Japanese 3DS. But Footnote 3D. Remember, it came out in Japan in 2013. Good times. I can't read this, but yeah, I think that will be it for the starter edition 3DS. It's just like a very like weird 3DS release, and it's kind of just a weird footnote, just because I don't think a lot of these were actually produced, and even if there was, not a lot of people bought them because obviously in Hong Kong and Taiwan, you would definitely want to get like a Japanese or American import unless you're fine with sticking with whatever Chinese releases they had at the time and you just go and buy like a Chinese console. But yeah, in the end, this is just a very weird console because it's got no online just so they could sell for cheap, but then you could just hack it anyway. It's generally, I just got this because it's just hard to come by one of these nowadays. I remember seeing one of these in like a store a while back, a long while back, and I kind of regret like never asking them like how much it cost because it was around like 2016-ish when I saw it, and it was just kind of like gathering dust on the shelf. And next time I went there, it was gone. And since then, I have not seen one of these pop up except for a recent local listing, which is where I got this one from. But I just thought it was neat to check out, and because not a lot of people have like figured out like had one of these in person and tried to like see what was actually wrong, like what's the weird quirk about the interior operating system itself that stops you from opening these surfaces up. But now this video that is there to explain this random little 3DS. But hopefully you enjoyed going on this little weird journey with me. But yeah, guess I'll see you guys later if there are more hijinks on my channel related to 3DS or lots of other things. But that'll be for this video. So stay safe, and I will catch you guys next time.